Good evening mga kalaro and welcome to the Council of Titos, the show on the Laro-Laro lang channel where Sportitos talk about a different kind of game. The reality TV game show and social experiment that has run for over 2 decades, Survivor. I'm Chief Bistak Joel Parcon, and with me as always is Vice Chief Bistak Jao Atienza. What's up, Jao? How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. I just came from Manila.
Whoa.
We weren't able to see each other, Joel, but that's
Yeah.
all right. That's all right. Because what's important is that we are here now to talk about season 44.
There you go. And of course, to talk about it with us as well is the man with God. Welcome to one. The only Martin. How are you doing, Martin?
Very fine, and there is no torrential downpour of this evening, so I take it's gonna be coming in hot in this episode, man. Survivor 44.
Nice. There you go. Anyway, tonight the council will take a look at the entirety of season 44 of Survivor. The council is going to give what they liked and what they didn't like about season 44, as well as what they wish Probes and company introduced into the season. But before we proceed, we hope that you could click on the like button and so that you just get notified whenever we have new stuff on the channel. Subscribe to the Laro-Laro lang channel. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, season 44, it's all done. Martin got his win. Aside from that, what other things did we like about this season?
I'm just gonna say Carolyn. Just
Carolyn.
Yeah.
you know, I could fill this entire episode just by saying Carolyn, right?
Yep. And we've seen the evolution of my opinion about Carolyn from the first time that we covered season 44 up until that up until last episode. So yeah, she grew on me. That lady is wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant no, I didn't meant. Yeah, I did mention this last time, but I wanted to dig into it a little bit more this time. The sort of narrative device that they used, where they opened up the season with them breaking the fourth wall and having it like bookended right at the end of the season, where Carolyn was talking to the producer, like, "Hey, remember on that first day, and we were talking or whatever." Like that was just an absolute stroke of genius. To tie the story, not only sort of thematically, but something that we could very clearly like see. Basically, this is not like stream of consciousness, like James Joyce sort of storytelling that we sometimes get, but like something that is very clearly sort of delineated, like, all right, this is going to call back to this, that sort of thing. It's very clear, and it was very new, and it is something that I hope Survivor never does again, or I hope that they wait like half a decade before they do it again, because it was the fact of it being so jarring that made it so good, right? It was Brechtian in a way, like when we talk about Brechtian theater, that's kind of what it is, right? It's like something that snaps you out of your suspension of disbelief, right? And gets you to think about the subject matter. And in this case, that was sort of the journey of Carolyn. So right at the beginning, we are snapped out of our suspension of disbelief in a way when we hear the producer and we see Carolyn, and we are drawn to the fact of Carolyn being the way that she is, and sort of the way that it's presented. And like right at the very end, they use the same breaking of the fourth wall to get us to remember what she was, and to get us to think about where she has ended up, right? And that storytelling is great. I hope they never do it again, because it's gonna get old. It's sort of like it's sort of like Bandersnatch, right, from Black Mirror, the choose your own adventure story. It's like one of those things that it can only really be done very sparingly. Like I know that Netflix tried to do a couple of other choose your own adventure type like
Oh, they did.
shows.
What
Yeah,
was
and they
that
never
again?
really went anywhere, and it was kind of
Mm.
like, whatever. But yeah, like Bandersnatch was great, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's something that you use sparingly because that's where the power of it like comes from.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what makes it special. The fact
yeah.
that you don't use it
Yes.
all the time.
When you when you stray away from or when you subvert sort of established norms or um sort of what's the term that I kept on using when you do that,
Mm.
right, where you subvert the expectations and
Mhm.
you break the established norms. The fact that it's or no not the fact the reason that these things are effective is precisely because they fly in the face of that which is established. So if this becomes the norm, then it loses all its power because it's just sort of doing what they've been doing,
Yeah.
which which leads me to one of my issues with the season. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, puzzles, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I started making that connection when you were starting to do that whole thing. Yeah.
But yeah, so there. That that whole Carolyn thing was amazing.
Mm.
Another thing that I really liked was um the back half of the season. The back half of the season was great.
Post merge, you mean? Or
Yeah, yeah. Everything after the merge was well, most of the post merge
Mhm.
was amazing. Um, but I can also see the argument for the people that like the sort of bombastic like Survivor on rails, as I like to think about the pre-merge, right, where you have all of the we have the game and the producers, like the heavy hand of the producers,
Yeah.
Mhm.
sort of putting things on rails, right,
Yeah.
in a way. So like if people like the Survivor on rails thing, they have the first half of the season, and for the people that like the more let the cast do their thing, you have the back half of the
Mhm.
season. So, you know, when it comes to rating, this season in relation to the other like new
The other
era,
three. Yeah.
yeah, the other new era ones, that's something that will definitely be taken into consideration.
Ah.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Well spoken. Like Hume graduate and social studies. You're a social studies professor, right? You were a
Yeah,
social studies professor
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
in the previous one? Or are you a social studies professor again?
No, no,
No.
no.
Okay.
There's a story there.
But yeah, let's talk about it off cam.
oh.
So yeah, the Carolyn. I like the fact that despite Carolyn may not have been able to articulate her story, or even her may not have been able to make her case to the jury uh, in final tribal. But I like the fact that the producers, in spite of all of that, they showed the audience her story. They saw the merit in showing the audience her story instead of having her make her case or tell the jury her story. And
Mhm.
then for me, that made it a little bit more powerful because we see it. I mean, we don't necessarily really see the bonds that Jam was able to really make with the rest of the castaways. They just really like him. Every time that he makes a joke, it cracks them up. But we ourselves, I myself, was witness to how uh, Carolyn, the story of Carolyn, right? The story of how she's this, she sticks out like a sore thumb, and then the fact that she actually talks sense, despite the fact that it sounds like it's nonsense. It's and for me, I think that that was a little bit more powerful than what we saw or didn't see from Jam Jam. I mean, Jam Jam still got the $1 million or the 800,000 plus. But yeah, the story of Carolyn for me, that was, and you were right. You were right, Joe, that when you said that this is her story. The season 44 is technically, yeah, it's her story. She's the protagonist. The
Yeah.
season. Mhm.
Yeah. Jam Jam was it's weird. Jam Jam felt like a secondary character,
Yeah,
and he was the one that won it all.
yeah.
But given what I think, what I think it was like out there really was no other way to like tell that story
Mhm.
without yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Marts?
Well,
What's one thing that you liked about the season?
well, you guys already talked about Carolyn, so I'll just call back of what you just mentioned a few minutes ago. I like the fact that Carolyn made a believer out of Joel throughout the season recap.
About the
So,
show,
Carolyn,
not about
if you're
our show, about
listening,
Survivor.
well, it affects the show. So, this is something I like about Survivor. You think somebody that you think you don't like, and
Mhm.
eventually you're going to like them. Like maybe the Ruperts of the world and
Oh, I like
the
Rupert
seven
from day
the first
one.
season. The first season.
Yeah,
Some I don't know why some of my friends don't like him. Like, oh, he looks like that guy from Toto. And then everyone's like, oh my god, he's such a lovable guy.
yeah. He's
Right?
Hagrid.
It's Hagrid. And it's at the same period of time, the early 2000s.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
this is what I like about Survivor, how they chose Carolyn as the focal point of the whole season. Like seeing Jam Jam swim through the eyes of Carolyn. And Jao already mentioned this. I think what I also like is actually the second half of the season because
Mm.
it's like more freewheeling, and we have been talking about that the whole season long when we were doing the reviews. It's not
Mm.
as heavy-handed. It's not as there's going to be a Percy Watson idol or whatever idol that was. That dude, like before
What the
season
Percy
40.
Watson idol? What's the
Yeah,
Percy
yeah.
Watson
That guy. Who's that
idol?
guy? That famous actor that has his advantage idol. I forgot about that. But you guys will remember this like after we record. It's some overpowered hidden immunity idol
Mm.
that they named after a famous African American actor who's a big fan of Survivor, who's not Yvette Nicole Brown of Community. So
Mm.
that in itself is already a disservice.
Mm.
Oh, Tyler Perry idol. There you go.
Tyler, I
So,
don't remember. I what
holy
Tyler idol
smokes,
was it?
really? You don't remember?
Yeah, I
Thank
don't.
God.
Okay.
Because the less we remember,
When
the
was it?
better.
Which season was that?
I think it was like before
Oh,
the.
oh, that one,
Yes.
the one where
Yes.
the one where you could use the
Ah,
idol after the votes were read.
after the
That
votes
one.
were read.
Okay, I
Yeah.
figured that would have been, but I didn't know that it was called the Tyler Perry idol.
Yeah. Thank God they didn't have that in the second half of the season. And thank God they
Mm.
didn't have the do or die. I love
Mm.
that. And thank God they don't even have knowledge is power.
Mm.
Dear
Yeah.
God. Dear God.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing that the producers did edit some of the what Zhao called the heavy hand of their heavy
Yeah.
hand. They didn't necessarily affect the gameplay too much. Right? They removed do or die. They didn't have knowledge is power because it hasn't been effectively used. They didn't have the shillelagh of time, right?
Yes. Oh my God. Thank God. Thank
Exactly.
God. So like
Uh, yeah,
to
but
round things
unfortunately, though,
up.
I mean, unfortunately or fortunately for those who like the first half of the season, they switched to production planted fake idols, which was something new
Yeah,
for this
Yeah.
season. Right,
that's pretty okay.
you can see how they're trying to see how they can influence the game,
Yeah.
so they feel as if it's through fake idols, and even Jamie's fake idol
All
that
right.
wasn't
Yeah.
necessary that wasn't originally a production planted fake idol. They're now keeping it and they're gonna plant it yet again in the future season.
Oh
And,
God.
fans will
Ghost Island Part 2.
and people won't, yeah, but no, I mean Ghost Island didn't it didn't stuff in Ghost Island still have the same power that they had prior in the previous seasons? But for this one, they're gonna replant Jamie's fake idol or MGM's fake idol that Jamie got,
Yeah.
and castaways won't know if it has power or not, or if it's still a fake
Oh, okay.
idol. That's
Mhm.
what Jeff said. Right?
Yeah. Hmm. You know, it's one of those things where the players are going to be playing around
Mm,
stuff, even whether or not they're going to be there or not. Which I don't know is if I like that or not. The playing around knowledge is power, even though knowledge is
mm,
power wasn't in the game,
yeah.
right?
You think that they're still gonna do it? I mean, they're still gonna think knowledge is power. At the very least, 46, because I don't know if 45 was able to watch 44,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So, do you think
I think
46 players are still gonna behave that way? That the as if knowledge is power is still in play?
of course they have
maybe.
to. Yeah,
Because they don't know. They don't know
Yeah.
if Jeff
It's
all of a sudden thinks, okay, I think it's time to bring back knowledge is power.
yeah.
yeah, and a lot of the discussion of Jeff, or a lot of what Jeff has said about knowledge is power, is that he really likes it, and so
Oof.
you get the players coming in with
Mm,
that sort of meta game like knowledge that Jeff Probst likes. Knowledge is power. It's not gonna go away. So, like, we can expect it to be there, and the twist is that it isn't there, right?
mm,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
metagaming. There's so much of that in Survivor now,
yeah,
because of their casting of super fans.
exactly. I mean, I'm sure that Jeff is aching for that point in time when knowledge is power is finally played correctly. Uh, because Shot in the Dark was finally played. I mean, it finally paid off. It finally came out safe, but it's just that it was an unnecessary save for Jamie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Jeff is like, come on, knowledge is power, get played properly, finally get something. And there was a version of it this season, the control the vote thing. Right? I
But
think it somehow is one of those OP advantages that
mhm.
was used
Mhm.
poorly. Um,
I know the the knowledge is power uh stand-in for this season was the inheritance advantage.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. The one
technically,
where
that's
yeah,
true.
where you
Yeah.
can get that Sarah was never
Oh,
able
no.
to play.
Yeah, it's so sad. I wanted to see what happened. Uh
Mm,
so, that's I suppose that's the question to the council. One question for the council. Knowledge is power or the inheritance advantage? Which would you prefer to see in the game?
Uh, for those who want to recap, what is the difference for the heritage advantage again? Like,
Right. So when you go to vote, you play your inheritance advantage, and
mhm.
all of the idols and advantages played during that tribal will go to you.
mhm.
So you can use
Oh,
it. So you can use it next tribal or whenever. So if an idol is played that night, you get to have
We
an
never
idol.
really because we never really saw it played, so we don't actually
yeah.
know the how it takes effect, right?
Yeah.
If Sarah had played it and she survived the tribal, and there were a number of advantages played that night, would she get it right there and then, or would she get it in her back, or we don't
Yeah.
actually quite know.
Or like tree
Yeah,
mail, right?
I
So we
think that
can't
no,
say.
I think it's after. I think it's after that tribal.
She gets it in her pack,
Yeah,
right?
basically. So like, if I remember what they were
Right.
talking about, what the podcast is, and Survivor pundits who
Ooh.
probably have more insight on this than I do or than we do, um mentioned, was like, if somebody plays an idol, you don't get to play that idol in the same tribal,
Mm,
because the rule is one idol for one person.
Mm.
So you inherit that same idol.
Yeah, we inherit it
So
afterwards. But I mean, we don't know if it's like, so it's played and then votes were read, and we don't know if it's public that Sarah gets whatever advantage is played.
yeah, we don't know if it's public knowledge.
Yeah, or if it's something that's just slipped into her path afterwards by producers.
Presumably it isn't, right? Or presumably it's
It's private
it's private. Presumably it's private.
because it puts too big a target on her back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I think um because I think that we've seen knowledge is power. I would like to see inheritance more.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen how it takes effect. We haven't quite seen how it can be played. So I'd like to see that first. I mean, knowledge is power. Probably, if it gets used properly, it would be a landmark. I'm sorry, a milestone for Survivor. That gets played properly.
And that would be the last time that they use it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, I'd be pretty confident in like if they do it, or if knowledge is power hits, they won't use it anymore.
Yeah. What about you, Mark? Which one would you rather see come back?
Well, I'd rather have the heritage because we want to see it work perfectly. Like, if someone locks out and uses it, imagine like you don't only get a hidden immunity idol. There was a double voted use. There was a steal a vote use, all in the same night.
Yeah.
So how will one get it the next day? So I want to see that. Ironically, over the knowledge is power, where it has been played like poorly, maybe because everyone knows it's there. Because the past 3 seasons are like, hey guys, I have knowledge is power. Like, why did you say that? Why did you just say that? Why did you just say right? At least here, I don't know, maybe Sarah got voted out early, that's why I didn't notice. I don't think anyone knew she had a heritage advantage. Did anyone?
I don't think so.
I don't think
right?
so.
So that's like it was so close. This is what we needed.
Yeah,
but
it was an advantage that she got out of. It's not Shipwheel Island anymore. It was that island.
Yeah,
that place.
Yeah,
where good things apparently happen. Not yet.
not Sanctuary. Not the Sanctuary.
Not Sanctuary. Okay, so we still call it not Sanctuary.
Yeah, it was the
journey, right? They call it the journey.
Yeah,
the journey.
When they went on the journey.
This was I'm just gonna say that this is the iteration of the journey that I like the absolute least.
Yeah, because we've been raving about how it's like whenever you get to that island, it's like the prisoner's dilemma, where you have to risk, and Jeff has all been about like, okay, risk versus reward. This one, you just choose. There's nothing. I don't know.
Whoa.
And didn't it used to be that it had to your actions was paired with the actions of other castaways in the previous seasons. This time it's just you risking against yourself. You're betting on yourself.
Yeah. And like when I talked about Survivor on Rails, that was specifically what I was thinking about. Because when you got there, the castaways didn't even have the choice as to whether or not they would stick their hand in the bag. True. It was like, you just have to pull something out of this bag. Like, there's no risk versus reward thing. It's just, you're going to pull it out anyway.
Yikes, yeah.
I mean, I guess knowing full well that almost anybody that goes up there is gonna be like, oh, I'm on Survivor, so like I have to do this. This is like,
it's a bucket list thing.
Yeah, it's what do you call it? Like we have to go big or
go big or go home or something like that, right?
Yeah, like
big moves. Big.
Yeah, that was I don't doubt that most people would have like stuck their hand in that bag regardless of like what the piece of paper said. But then we have to remember that we had players like Jenny Kim from Survivor 42 that was like, no, this is, I'm going to play conservatively. Like, we do have conservative players.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think Jenny was like one of the robbed goddesses of like the first of the new era. But, the fact that there wasn't even the choice presented in this particular iteration of the journey was something that didn't sit well with me. It reminded me too much of Do or Die.
Ooh.
Which one? The
The
the journey thing?
Yeah, the journey, because Do or Die, well, at least Do or Die had a little bit of agency from the player as to whether or not they would like sit out or whatever it is from from the challenge of the immunity challenge. But like when you're there and doing the Do or Die, there is nothing that you can do other than throw your fate to the wind or cast your fate into the wind. Whereas and the journey, well, the first journey, because there was that other journey where like they just didn't do anything.
Mm.
Best journey of the new era. But the first journey where they didn't have the choice to say no, I would rather play conservatively, was one of the worst things, because just like Do or Die, there is no player agency there. It is left up to something else other than the work of your own hands,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I did like that other journey where they were like, you just chill out.
Yeah. No, nothing really happening.
Yeah, that was that was a really good journey.
Yeah. Wait, this isn't the one where is this the one where Brandon and Danny were broing out?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Or the brew out.
Mm.
I really like that journey because it was once again playing with the expectations. Like there was nothing happened.
Yeah. The entire time I was like, something has to be there. And I think Carolyn got it. I was like that the entire time, right? I mean,
Yeah. But
something has to be there, and then there's nothing. Yeah. It's something new at the very least. It was something new.
yeah.
In the periphery of the main game of Survivor. So that was pretty refreshing.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that I brought up last episode as well. That tension between having the game play the same 100% of the time, that way like players can play the game and not play the whim of the game developer, versus having things changed up every now and then uh for the sake of good TV. you know it's something that I really do think about a lot when it comes to Survivor,
Mm.
because it would be like, think about how different, think about how messed up basketball would be if every season they changed the rules.
Mhm.
oh God, no.
Right? Like
Mhm.
think about it. Like every season they change the rules where, all right, for this season, there's going to be, no 3-second violation in the paint.
Mhm.
And also for this season, you're allowed like 8 fouls or 9
Mm.
fouls. And the the court is going to be the size of a soccer field. And like we're gonna add an extra line because the court is so big for 4-point shot. Oh, and you get 7 players per side
Your side.
when you
Oh,
start out, right? Like that's kind of what the equivalent is with Survivor, because you're changing the mechanics every season.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's good because it gives us good TV, but it's also bad because because you're not letting the players quote unquote play the game.
It's bad that you're changing the mechanics
Yeah.
because the players, okay, all right.
Right, like I would think that there is a Survivor purist community out there whose only desire is for Survivor to be the same as it was back in season 1.
Mm,
No advantages, no idols,
yeah,
no twists, just
yeah,
pure gameplay.
yeah. Okay,
And
okay. To a
there
certain
could,
extent, I do agree
yeah.
with you.
And
Uh,
there's an alternate universe where that was the Survivor that we got.
mhm,
And then there is also an alternate universe where all of Survivor is different each and every season.
mhm,
But what we have now is something kind of in between, where there are some things that don't change and there are some things that
yeah,
do. You know,
yeah,
and a lot of the argument in the Survivor community comes from what are the things that can and can't change, right?
yeah,
Because for the quote unquote player of the game, having all of the same puzzles all the time is the same thing as having the basketball court remain the
remain
same
the same.
size every
Yeah,
season, right?
yeah,
But we complain that like the puzzles are the same all of the
exactly.
time. So I suppose that's where all of the disagreement comes in.
Yeah,
Like, what is changeable and what isn't? Like, there are some people that will swear by the final three. Other people would really like to have
to go back to final
another
two.
final two,
Yeah,
right? So it's it's something that I've been thinking about a lot,
mm,
particularly with this season.
yeah.
Like, what
I
is
agree
what
with you.
is considered sacred and what
Mhm.
isn't?
I agree with your point about that. That's actually more or less what my notes are about that. It's on my dislike. So let's just mix everything up. Let's change things up. Let's not do things likes, dislikes, and what our wish list. Um, for me, that is a big dislike because if I'm going to have Survivor that has especially the challenges, if the challenges are never going to change, if they're going to reuse challenges season in, season out, if you're going to have puzzles that are going to they're going to stay the same, that you're never going to change, you're always going to have that tree puzzle, you're always going to have that circular puzzle. The designs inside are going to change, but essentially the
It's
puzzle
the
is the
same
same,
thing.
right? And that's why 3D printing puzzles becomes a thing, or buying
Yeah.
or supplying the mini versions of those puzzles so that Survivor super fans can train or prepare for it. It for me makes it more of a it becomes a sport.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, okay, cool for those who want to prepare or are able to prepare. But if I'm going to watch sports, I've got the NBA for that.
Mm.
I'll just watch what is traditionally considered sports for now, right? I
Mm.
watch Survivor because I want to see, aside from the gameplay, right? The strategy and all of that. I want to see cool challenges as well. I want to see challenges like you've mentioned it a number of times, that whole thing about racing into the forest and doing with your while you're clipped into to a rope,
Oh God,
or
I
doing
missed that.
something that's
Yeah.
connected to the setting of
Mm.
Survivor, right? Although it's harder because they've been staying in Fiji for the longest time, and we don't think that they're gonna move anytime soon. But yeah, those kinds of things. Shake it up a bit. Shake up the challenges. Don't make it too predictable.
Mm.
And yeah, that's another thing. I mean, because players have become game bots basically. Because okay, I think that by this time, this is supposed to happen. By this time,
Yeah.
we're gonna have the merge. By this time, we're gonna have this kind of challenge, right? Because they're already casting super fans. who some of them probably have really studied the game uh, from all angles. They know what to expect based on uh, 44 seasons of previous of 44 previous seasons, right? So they have these things that they have in mind. Okay, day day 6, this is happening. Day 8, this is happening. We're gonna have a swap. We're gonna have whatever. We're gonna have whatever. For me, if it's something like that, it gets predictable. It gets boring. I would like to see Jeff and the producers shake things up a bit. That's why Survivor Australia was refreshing to me. Not only
Yeah.
was it more the physicality of it was a little bit more the older seasons of Survivor, but the format itself, it wasn't okay. So you're gonna have reward, immunity, tribal council, reward, immunity, tribal council, right? That my mind keeps on going back to that tribal council, the pre-merge tribal council, where all of a sudden they go into an individual immunity challenge. The
Mm.
guys who are in that tribal council go into an individual immunity challenge, and yeah, do things like that. Don't just stick. It's like the MCU that has become so formulaic.
Yeah.
It has become so formulaic to the point that the better you prepare, if you have all of the things that you need to prepare, whether it's plywood as per MGM that he put together so that he could do that snake puzzle or that snake maze well, or if you're like Carson who has the resources to purchase a 3D printer and 3D print all of the puzzles, or if you're like Evie who was able to put together beads so that when they were putting together the big puzzle version of it, it was so easy. She did it so fast, right? So yeah, for me, I think that there's a need for Survivor producers to shake things up. Otherwise, otherwise we're just watching sports,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're just watching sports, or we're just watching one of those children. Not the something like Crystal Maze. Even it becomes something like Crystal
Oh,
Maze, where you
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
kind of
Yep.
things to expect when you get into a certain room, right?
Yeah.
Or well, we're showing our age, but yeah, the Crystal
Legends
Maze.
of the Hidden Temple.
There you go,
Oh
Legends
yeah,
of the
now
Hidden
there
Temple,
I can
right?
relate to that now.
So yeah, where the obstacle course is the same
Yep,
Yeah.
day in day out, right? It never changes, and it
never
you
changes.
know what's gonna happen next, right? So Survivor, I think I would love Survivor to change things up a bit so that to keep it interesting, right? Aside from the fact that the personalities that you get are already interesting, if the cast that the way that they were casting is similar to the way that they were casting for 44, especially aside from the fact that your cast is very interesting, keep the gameplay interesting as well. Don't make it too okay. There's a puzzle in the end. Carson's gonna win,
Yep.
right?
Mm.
You already know Carson's gonna win if it's a puzzle in the end. Right? So yeah, for me that's a light in the casting of this season. I do have a little bit more about that. A dislike in the fact that it's become so predictable, and a wish that they shake things up more.
Yeah. So, but I suppose the question then that we have to ask um, is how, like, this is also for everybody that's listening. How do we change without doing things like throw in excessive advantages, at least
Mm.
to like the game, right? Like I suppose we can have these excessive advantages as a sort of intermediate before they pull the rug out from under us, and all of a sudden we have like a Survivor season where like there is no advantage to be found, and you cast a lot of game bots expecting there to be advantages, but like the the question that I've been thinking about as well is what can be changed to change things up, but not fall into the trap of Survivor on rails.
Um,
That's
I don't know,
tough.
Apart
Mark. Do you have any
from
thoughts?
like
That's very tough. That's very
apart from changing up the puzzles, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
that's a very easy thing to point at.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just one aspect of the game, and if everything else is predictable, then it's you know no better than not having the puzzle changed, if that makes sense. Like the if the mechanics of the game remain mostly the same, then it's still not being shaken up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so like that's really a question that I have, and I do not know the answer to. Like, what? How do we change Survivor without changing Survivor, right? Because like they tried with the Shillelagh of Time. They
Mm-hmm.
tried with do or die with the Islands of Excessive Advantages,
oh yeah.
and with moving them to a different beach to you know with this do or die or whatever, all of which seem to have quite a lot of pushback. But then the alternative to that is you know playing the game exactly the same way that it was, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like we were mentioning, it runs the risk of becoming just sports.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah.
so that's a reflection question, I guess. um like
What
what
about
is
the man with the thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, given that you just mentioned most of the players now are super fans, even if you go vanilla Survivor, which mind you only lasted for how many seasons out of 44 seasons? Without Uber advantages, without tribal switches, it was just two. Africa, we already had a tribe swap. That's a first twist. So the first two seasons, that's the only plain vanilla Survivor you had. The 42 other seasons, there's a twist, a new twist every season, 4, 5, 6, up to 44. And the problem is, if you put super fans, they're predominantly super fans, they'll still expect seasons 1 and 2 in play. I was like, oh, so there's no advantages. Past 9 days, nothing new, no switching. So we're going vanilla Survivor. All right, we got this. The problem here is, I think my answer is this: Survivor production is at an unenviable position right now because they're the ones who need to figure it out 45 onwards, because it's like the game evolving. It's a thing that we're glad we don't have to give answers for that, and we're just here to
Mm-hmm.
sit and Monday night quarterback each and every after episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's like saying it's an unenviable position to be an NBA commissioner. I'm bald, but I'm glad I'm not Adam Silver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Something like that. Like, but this is what makes Survivor good. It's a hit or miss. The new things they put, Tyler Perry idol, do or die, heritage advantage, right?
Hmm.
There will be pushback. There will be a hit. Right now, for the past decade, I've noticed this. Like, even since Cochrane wins, they're trying to like throw shit in the wall and see what sticks. Some stuff stick.
Mm-hmm.
Tribe swap kind of stuff. They took that out maybe a couple of seasons before, like even before 44, between 20 and 40. It kind of worked, but it also kind of did not. There's a certain season I wish there was a tribe swap. I know it was either between one world after one world onwards, but they just did not. And I think that was like heroes versus villains. They never had a tribe swap there because that's heroes versus villains.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if they had a tribe swap. You
Oh,
think Rob would have
you
stayed?
just watch Australian
Yeah.
Survivor.
They have,
Nah, I
and
have
then
no
you
time
see
for
how
that. I'm
heroes
sorry.
become
Sorry.
villains,
Because
and
we
villains
already saw
become like
heroes
some
becoming
sort of
villains. We
heroes.
saw Rupert turn into a villain of some sort during that season.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Rob, well, heavy handedly edited to be a hero among the villains. And when he got voted out, they went downhill. But when you think about it, it was the heroes that kind of effed up in the merge episode. So I'm sorry, production. But like I said, it's a very unenviable position to be the producers of Survivor, going with the given dilemma that Zhao quite I say masterfully handed out to us a few minutes ago. Like, if you have super fans there that can expect everything from A to Z, you're already in a Sophie's choice. And by Sophie, I don't mean Clark. Okay.
And then there's the added there's the added layer of us, the viewers, because like the way we react to the game,
Yeah.
you know,
Also
like
affects that.
yeah, it also affects that sort of decision.
Yeah.
Uh, you
I
know,
have a joke idea.
Mhm.
I'm the one who comes up with all of these joke ideas, silly ideas. Um, there has to Jeff will have a device.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a device.
I like where
He
this
has
is going.
he has all of the different twists from all 44 seasons, 45, 46, whatever, 40 plus seasons. All of the different twists in that device. Presses a button. Randomizer comes out with a twist, and that's the twist that he's gonna implement for that show. Right? Tribes episode one. He clicks on it and he shows the audiences. It comes up. Bam. Tribe swap. Tribe swap. Okay, let's do a
All right.
tribe swap. First
Let's do it.
episode. All right. Second
That'd be,
episode. Like this
How
is
does
the
that
this is
work?
our
'Cause
this is our challenge. Right?
that'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Right.
I'd quite like that. Yeah.
Make it interesting. Make it adding that uncertainty
I
as to
like
what to
it.
expect, because like what like what Martin has said, the super fans have an idea what to expect. Okay, season 1 and 2, this is what happened. Seasons 3 and whatever until whenever, this is what happened. Seasons whenever until whatever, this is what happens. Now put all of that together and then
Randomize it.
just randomize it.
It's the most Jeff Probst thing in concoction because it involves balls. All we need is a stick in that device, and that's a Jeff Probst invention. Oh, Jeff, with your sticks and your balls.
That's that's something for episode 8, for season 80. So for season 80, the second Winners at War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It would be fun.
So yeah, I'm just praying for uncertainty to be in the game, because we don't want it to. I personally don't want it to be something like, okay, I don't want Martin to keep on skipping the challenges. Moving straight.
Too bad. Too bad.
Right? Because if you don't know what's gonna happen, right? If you don't
Yeah.
know what the challenge is gonna be, I mean, even the challenge could be like, okay, and I also do want them. You go through all the pains of introducing a theme
Yeah.
or introducing a chief element like the Kraken, but the Kraken never influences anything in the show, right? Aside from the snuffer. This
Oh,
season we had
Sword
the
and
whole
Shield.
medieval thing, but aside from the immunity idols, it never really affected anything. There was nothing medieval about.
Yeah.
They weren't in fiefdoms. They didn't have
Yeah.
to pay tribute to their vassal lords.
Hey,
Right?
you
Or
know,
anything
this
like that.
season would have had this would have been the perfect season for the coins,
Exactly.
right? This would have been it.
Yeah, the fire coins that was supposedly, according to which player was that, John? The kid that Marianne had a crush on.
Zach. Yeah.
Zach. Yeah. Apparently,
Yeah.
when it was cast, his season was supposed to have fire tokens.
The lost season.
Yeah. It was Jeff Probst spoke about it in his
he did?
in his podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
The idea was to create a survivor economy.
Mm.
Right. So, you know, everything could be bought and sold with like fire tokens. I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't go with that. You know, that would have been quite a handful. And you know, they were so close to doing it, but then like they had time to reflect because the world stood still for a year. For a year or two, depending on where you were in the world. 3, looking at you, Japan. up to this day, looking at you, China. Uh, and Cathay Pacific flights were at like 50% capacity. Anyway, um,
So yeah, they had time to think about it,
they had time
and
to
they
reflect
decided
on
against it.
they had time to reflect on the fire tokens, and the question that they asked was, is it going to be fun? And I don't think it would have been. I agree with Jeff. It would not have been fun.
Mhm.
It would have been an economics class.
Mm. It would have been, yeah. I agree with Martin though. This would have been
This would have
a
been the
nice
perfect
place to you to
season.
have
This would,
fire tokens in play. I mean, you'd have, instead of the sanctuary, you'd have the tavern, right? And you'd have, what's his name? Who was supposed to be the one in charge of the fire
Dev
tokens the last season?
Devons was. I
Yeah,
think he
Rick
mentioned
Devins.
Devons. Yeah,
Devins.
that
Rick
guy.
Devins was
Yeah.
that was the
He'd be your
joke.
bartender. He'd be your proprietor. Make it into D&D. Their
Maybe
mooring
it's
is at the
just
tavern.
maybe it's
Right?
just me, guys.
What?
But I think they also dropped the ball on another returnee for this season. Fire Sword and Shield medieval theme. Where the hell's the coach? This is his season. Talk about wizards and the dragons,
dragon.
right?
But he's the dragon slayer, right?
Yeah. So he can talk about slaying the dragon. Which dragon? You got voted out and you never won your final tribal.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never really much of a coach fan, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
same.
Yeah.
It would have been a nice callback because those are super fans and they'll get it. Oh, because Dragon Slayer. And Kenny would be like, oh my God, it's the Dragon Slayer, guys. I'm like, yes, we get it. It's Coach. Because they're all
Yeah.
super fans. Because they're all
Yeah.
would have been this season, Jeff. Should have brought Coach.
Did you guys notice though if season 45 has any kind of like theming? I didn't quite notice from the logo. Did you guys notice anything from the logo?
There's a girl holding.
Yeah, it's like the old one, right? Holding the torch.
And they're like pelicans or something.
Oh, sorry.
Like on this side.
Maybe it's the tribes.
And like their feathers right at the bottom. So I don't know. I doubt there's gonna be anything birdie about the season,
Yeah.
but you
maybe
know,
something kooky, but not birdie.
I don't know. Yeah. By now, I'm guessing that the Survivor production is just trolling fans.
Yeah.
They expect something connected from the theming of the logo and the gameplay. But yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. The theming of the trappings of the season should at the very least affect the gameplay.
Oh, yeah,
I would like it to be known this early that my canonical winner pick for Survivor 45 is Bruce.
Oh, comebacking Bruce.
If it's Medivac, who will be your canonical? Will it be the island? Just kidding. Just kidding.
I haven't seen the cast yet. So I suppose if there's anybody like particularly Asian or Filipino, then by default they have to be the canonical winner pick.
I have a feeling that Nico guy, the martial artist, the martial arts teacher,
maybe.
is Filipino.
And because what do you call it? Because the reason I would like Bruce to win is so that we can have another Tika member win.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
And then 46 is a returning cast and Carolyn comes back.
So technically back-to-back Tika wins.
And so, yeah. If I were if I had the power of God in the universe, that's what I would. That's one of the things that I would do, apart from like end poverty and like toil. Right? It'd be make Bruce win this season, make 46 a returnee season, and have either Carolyn or Carson win. That way, when we talk about the Tika 3, it isn't necessarily only like Carson, Jam and Carolyn, but the Tika 3 in a row wins, right? Ooh. So, yeah, I'd be a god with a weird sense of humor like that.
Speaking of the Tika 3, that's one of the things that I like. Their trio gameplay. I'm not quite sure if on their own they would have gotten as far as they did.
No,
I think the fact that
that's okay.
they seem to be as a trio, they seemed to be weak. They were perceived as weak. They were, I mean, Carolyn was underestimated all the way up until final tribal.
Hmm.
And Jam Jam was not necessarily seen as a winner. He was seen as someone who was fun, nice to have around. It was Carson who was really like, okay, this guy is a survivor
Yeah,
player.
he's
That's why he
dangerous.
got
Yeah.
taken out. Right. But the fact that all throughout, once the merge came, their gameplay, their Gabler gameplay, going back to my winner pick from last season, the fact that they were hiding in plain sight, they had Soka thinking that they were the ones in power, when in fact it was the Tika 3, without without warning, right? Without the other players getting aware of what they were doing, they were actually the ones in control. And yeah, that's one of the things that I liked about this season.
Per-
Their
It was
what do you call this?
perfect. It was perfect.
Their group Gabler play.
Yeah. For
Part of
me,
it.
it's like
Oh, you're right.
Carson would have been the glue because every time you see like Jam Jam and there was already like pre-merge, right? That guy who switched up with Carson almost divided him.
Josh.
Josh.
There you go, Josh. Yeah, Josh. I'm sorry again, Josh. I keep forgetting Josh. But yeah,
Yeah, we forgot Josh a lot of times in the early season.
what I like about them is like all three of them needed to be there completely because
Mhm.
without them, if they go solo, I think Carson got lucky he was in the same tribe as Kane when he got switched over.
Mm.
Had he
Yeah.
not, I think he would have been kicked out immediately per
He had
switch.
he had an idol though, so it wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, but it still would have been higher risk with the other tribe. I don't know why. Like he got lucky.
Had
Had
he
he
been
Yeah.
been
on
kicked
no, but
out,
then if had he been on Soka, he would have connected with Matt and with Franny, right?
I
Uh,
hope he would have.
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
all practically. That's also another thing that I
Nerd
like, the fact that
trio, yeah.
the castaways. I mean, as much as I appreciate all of the Elizabeth Filarskis, the Amber Burkich, what's her Mariano,
Whoa, whoa.
the Brenda Lowe's, the Haley Fords,
The Haley Ford.
and all of
Oh,
these
okay.
other cute castaways from past seasons. I appreciate the fact that Survivor isn't making it a requirement to have half the cast look like models.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
So yeah, the casting of season 44. I mean,
It's right.
the new era,
Yeah, the
practically.
entire
Yeah.
new era.
I like the new
It's
era
it's not
casting.
necessarily okay. These are models that we need to have
Ugh,
parading in
yeah.
swimsuits.
Matters. Matters.
It's a bit more representative of society,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that makes Survivor. It becomes a microcosm of what my friend from the other show, the Laro-Laro Lang channel, the Laro-Laro Lang show. He always says that, but he talks about sports. Basketball is a microcosm of the Philippine society, and Survivor is supposedly uh, that kind of it's supposed to be a microcosm of American society.
Yeah.
That's why, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
they have that. It is more representative, especially now the new era.
Yeah. Actually, like the new era as a whole, I
Mm.
think is just really good. The show is so much better for it. If I may, like, pop back to the Tika 3
Mm.
for a
Oh,
little bit.
yes. Yes.
One of the things that made them like work really well, I think, is they were a lot like JT and Steven from um
Mhm.
What season?
whatever season
Mm.
it was. Like it was, you wouldn't have expected them to work together,
Mm.
or sort of like
Yeah.
sort of like Cody and Jesse, right? Like,
Mm.
you know you wouldn't have expected them to be working together. The fact that Carson was in the Tika 3 made it just so weird, right? Like, yeah, I guess we would have expected like Jam Jam and Carolyn to be working together because their personalities are just, you know, their
So
personalities
alike.
line up so
Yeah.
much. But the fact of Carson being with the Tika 3 just made it like really weird. And that seems to be like the play for um a good a good like alliance or a good like ride or die in modern Survivor, to have somebody that nobody would expect you to be close to, right? And have that sort of run the game.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's that.
Exactly.
It's like sorry Jamie, the era of like
Of alliances
alliances still alive.
is still alive.
Mhm.
Who would have known? They all knew that duos were dangerous. Who would have
Yeah.
known that it was a
Hmm.
trio that would get
Yep.
that far?
Well,
Yeah.
I guess they're super fans and they remember that alliance of Malcolm and the two pretty boys from Heroes versus Fans versus Favorites Part 2 didn't last long.
Mm, yeah, but that was also because Malcolm was already a known commodity
Yeah.
by then, right? He was Malcolm from Survivor Philippines, right?
Yep.
Mm.
Physical
So
threat.
so it was something else. It was something different. But this one, all three of them, they flew under the
Yeah.
radar while being loud at that. Right?
Yeah.
Even
Jam
right?
Jam.
Even
They were
Carol.
so loud, but because of that, they were getting underestimated. And it wasn't as if they were failing to the top,
No.
right? It was
That
strategic.
was Jamie. That was Jamie.
Yeah.
Yes, Jamie was the one who was failing to the top.
Just failing upwards.
Yeah, right. But yeah, Jam Jam was able to explain it well in Final Tribal, and we were shown how Carolyn was doing it as well. That it wasn't random the way that she acted,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's kudos to the Tika 3 and their gameplay as a whole.
Amen.
Any other thoughts, likes, dislikes, wishes?
Question. In are we going to, in this episode, do our ranking of
The first 4 seasons.
the first 4 seasons, or are we gonna have that as another episode?
I think that we should have that as another episode.
Yeah, agreed.
Stretching it out, that's how they do it for content creators. They stretch out the.
Got
So
it.
you guys will still listen to us here
Yeah.
on YouTube or on Spotify.
Or on Spotify or wherever you get your
Clever.
podcasts.
So if our Hap has Talking with T Bird, like right now we have Tammy from Marquesas. That's a good episode, guys. You check it out. But after you check it out, you check this episode out and our next
I
episode.
thought you invited her and then she's here on our Zoom.
Oh,
that
no.
would've That would have been
But-
amazing.
You know who I want to invite here on our Zoom? Maybe
who?
one day? Sia. So she'll give us each Sia money.
I don't know if we qualify for that one, but yeah, cool.
I think I can.
That'll be nice.
Because it's like it's a donation. Nothing
Well,
we can
yeah.
put in our BIR forms, I guess.
If I were to like really want to talk to somebody Survivor related, it would be Erica.
Erica Cappuccino, the winner.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Erica Kasupanan.
Oh. Here's the good news. Since she's from Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can finally go to Canada.
You
don't
can go
need a
to
visa.
Canada.
All right, because we need a visa of US first then. But
Yeah,
still.
Oh, yeah, you guys can. I don't have a US. I haven't. I've never had a US visa. But isn't that the news that if you've had a US visa in the past 10 years, is that it?
Yeah, or still active.
And
Just
does
do the
it have to be
ET.
active?
Yeah, just use the ETA something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
whatever.
can meet her face to face, or maybe if she does a
Or
Manila
maybe
tour.
if she
right?
visits the
Yeah.
fatherland or
Yeah,
the
hopefully.
motherland, that would be cool.
We promise it will not be in a very oversold convention, Erica. Okay? I promise you that.
You
Anyway,
just
the
came from
lesson about
there. You came
I
from
don't know if
there.
I did. Let us not remind each other of a bad memory. Because we will remind each other of a good memory now. And
Didn't
that
you
is
have fun
like
there though?
maybe. But let's go back to Survivor.
Let's go back to
So speaking
Survivor.
Survivor. Would it be nice
That's
though?
true. That's true. We
Be
that would be
nice.
fun
A
to be
Survivor
able to talk
convention
with
in Manila.
the first. We're saying the
Yeah.
Survivor winner with the first Filipino,
Filipino. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Think about
Survivor
that.
winner.
And also first of the of the new era,
The first of the new
Yes.
era. Yeah.
which is
Iconic.
kind of becoming our niche, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Firsts. A lot
you
of
know.
firsts,
Anyway,
man.
um, something that I didn't like too much about the season,
Mm.
and there was no way that they could have cut around it, was
See?
like we didn't get to know anybody else really. You know,
Yeah, true.
all we got
Yeah.
was the Tika three,
Mm-hmm.
Matt and Franny,
Yeah.
and
Jamie.
to an extent Jamie, right?
Oh my God.
And what we did get about Jamie was, you know, basically a character assassination.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
um,
name Millhouse hurts so much.
it's like they purpled the rest of the entire cast. You know,
Mm.
it was like they, how many people? 18 minus like 6. They purpled 12 people.
Yeah. Two thirds. Two thirds of the cast got purpled out, but we never really. Okay, but we still had some like Heidi highlights when she like made that fire at the start of the season, and we knew that it was gonna connect. I mean, I like that. I like that. The fact that they were already there was some foreshadowing that
Yeah,
happening, like with Carson and the fire, and then all of a sudden you know that Heidi does fire. So, and they paid it off in the end, right?
yeah.
It was Heidi versus Carson and fire. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool for production to do that.
Mm. That was I was talking to a screenwriter some time ago. Um, he writes for that Almost Paradise show, um, and he was telling me that like one of the most basic things in writing a screenplay is everything is about setup and payoff,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
you know like that's one way to think about like a story, you know. Sure, right, we have our Aristotelian like mimesis where you know you so I was reading Poetics again recently. um you know that's one way to look at it, but
Yeah.
the way that it's kind of done in Hollywood these days is thinking about setup and payoff.
Mm.
And one thing that Survivor did this season did really well was that setup and payoff for the most part,
Yeah.
right? There wasn't we didn't have too many roads to nowhere as we sometimes do.
Mm-hmm.
um and you know I hope they continue doing that because that's just good storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Yeah.
So it's just like put a lot of Chekhov's guns and then make sure that they're used. I mean,
Yeah.
the fake idols, the production fake idols never got used. The inheritance advantage didn't get used, but yeah, I mean, the all of those things, the things that the new things that they were doing that wasn't trying to affect the gameplay. That was nice. That was nice seeing all of that. The foreshadowing with Carson and Heidi, and then Heidi asserting the fact that people are gonna underestimate her because she's this small woman, and then she comes up with the fastest fire ever, and yeah, all of that set up with Carson being like this force when it came to puzzles, but then again, when it came to something that's practical, like starting a fire, he couldn't do it, right? And yeah, even even Carolyn. I mean, the whole thing with Carolyn. Again, we're just talking about these people because they're the ones that the other
Kept
12 we
showing
don't quite
up.
know. Yeah, even my winner pick Kane wasn't quite focused on. Danny, we had all of his somersaults. Yeah, I
Oh,
thought that he
yeah.
was going to be a Black Host 2.0, but that one didn't quite pan out. But yeah, to a certain extent, it did. But
Yeah.
I also like Danny, the fact that he played it like a game.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yes.
treated it like a game, and he knew that it had to be a game. Yeah.
Wait, so sorry, I have to correct myself. Not a screenwriter, he was a cinematographer, a fellow by the name of
Oh,
Francis de la Torre.
Ooh,
oh.
okay.
Anyway, going back.
Shout out, Mr. Della Torre. Good thoughts on that. So yeah. Really, I mean, it was a good season. It was a good season. I for the most part, especially towards like yeah, what you said, Joe. Second half, back end of it. I'm one of those who like the back end of it more than the front end.
Mhm.
So yeah, it kept on getting better up until the final tribal. I mean, all the way through to the end, right? So yeah, it was a good season. Whether or not it's better than the previous 3 seasons of the new era,
Mm,
we'll talk
we'll
about that
find
for
out.
another time.
Find out next week.
Any other thoughts?
Ah,
I'm good, man.
great season.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Banger, absolute banger
Yeah,
season.
absolute
Banger of
banger.
a season. Yep,
Ah,
yep. Matt got it right. Matt got it right. What about you, Marts?
I'm just happy I got the
You're
winning
just
team.
happy you got the win.
Didn't have to change any winner.
And you
Not just
got it
kidding.
in one.
Well, for me, it's like, there's it's just nowhere to go but up now. So it's gonna take a big fumble for 45
Mm-hmm.
to like have this momentum carry them upwards, downward instead of upwards. And
Mm-hmm.
like it'll take a season 39 level of incompetence.
Okay, for those of us who are not Survivor historians like you, what happened in 39?
Someone got very handsy, not only with the cast
Oh.
members but producers. Another guy. So it'll take something to that level that'll make it so
Mhm.
bad. Or like
Um,
what? A season full of
and
unlikable
that was the
characters.
season. No, that wasn't the season where the one who won was the one who got voted out and came back, right? Was it? No.
Oh no, that's
No.
Chris
Yeah.
something something in Island
Fine. Hemsworth.
yeah,
Edge.
Edge of Extinction.
Edge
There
of
you go.
Extinction.
Edge of Extinction. Now that was
Yeah.
still okay
He
because we
was the that's something we didn't talk about, fire. And
fire
all of the
fire.
issues around that.
Mm,
But like that was the dude that supposedly ruined fire making.
Yep,
yeah.
apparently.
And made it a requisite in order to win
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah.
Though I feel like we just already concluded if someone did do the fire and win and they just didn't like the person at all, they'll just they'll just move the goalpost that yeah, you won the fire making, but you didn't do this. See, Jam Jam did that. See,
Yeah.
Carolyn did that. Like,
Yeah. So it's
no,
like
man.
Heidi
Like,
Heidi is the counter argument
yeah,
to
to
Yeah,
Chris.
to Chris.
yeah, the counter argument to the jury from last season.
Mm.
That's why I still love Rob's tweet about Heidi winning season 43.
Yeah, because she won fire. So
I'm just,
Yeah.
let's just be honest. They just didn't like the lady that was there in the final three last season.
No, they like Gabler. They like
Yeah,
my
no.
winner.
They like Gabler. They didn't like the other one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's why Gabler won because they liked him.
Yes.
It's not because they
And-
dislike Cassidy.
Yep. And at the end of the day, that's what Survivor is. You vote who you like.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Snap. Unless like that guy who says, even if you're my mother, I won't vote for you if you
Danny,
don't give me a
Danny.
compelling argument. Unless you're Danny. Okay, there we
Yeah.
go. Yet you still vote for Heidi.
Yeah.
Well, that's the the brilliance of some of the players, the players of Survivor over the past couple of years, being able to identify what each juror wants
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and being able to play to that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
knowing that and um in other seasons, in previous seasons, like not new era seasons, in old era seasons,
Older. Yeah.
you had players who also knew which votes they wouldn't get and not
yeah.
play to those. So it's like, I know that I'm probably not going to get this person's vote. So in order to get somebody else's vote, I'm going to continue to throw this other person under the bus because we're not going to get their vote anyway.
Mm.
But that might ingratiate me to two other people in the jury. So, that's another thing that I don't think we have in the new season just yet.
Yeah.
Like, kind of being able to do that sort of calculus with the jury. But
Yeah. So it's not just outwit, outplay, outlast, but there's also manage the jury.
yeah, basically, I think that's like the most important thing, right?
Yeah. You have to know where the jury is going.
Yep.
So does that mean that you have to install a mayor? You have to be responsible for putting who the mayor is? No, not
Ponderosa.
necessarily. No, we haven't seen that yet.
Ponderosa.
Like, be the one to make sure that you have a good relationship with the mayor of Ponderosa, so that when they get there, when the rest of them get there, you'll have a champion. You'll have someone who will lobby for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going off on Ponderosa idea, yeah, that's one of my wishes. Can we please bring back the Ponderosa veneer Survivor? Please, please. Pretty please when sugar on top, yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
I love the Ponderosa. But
Yeah, like
they didn't do it. That was 2 seasons ago already, right?
yeah.
It's 2 seasons too long.
It should be okay by now, I guess.
I hope.
Or maybe
Like,
they're gonna come
on.
out with it in the DVD. So
Oh,
or
no.
the Blu-ray, so that people
Oh
are
no.
forced
problem
to
is,
purchase a Blu-ray.
Laptops and PCs don't have disk drives anymore.
Yeah.
So
They-
kind of higher
we would have
field
known
DVD
though.
player.
We would have
Yeah.
known though if
It would
they
still
had.
have gone on
If-
It would still
YouTube
be
or
on
whatever.
YouTube. Like it would be
Yeah.
ripped. Or like Yar,
No, like we would have known because there would have been reports of that. There would have been reports of there being cameras at Ponderosa.
Exactly.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, that would have been something that popped up on like one of the Survivor news outlets. That there were allegedly cameras, which means Ponderosa could be coming back. But like no, there weren't any cameras.
Mhm.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
But Jeff,
Also,
please
bring
it
back the reunion.
Yeah.
Yes,
the reunion.
the real reunion where everyone is there
Everyone's
for the
there.
first.
But then again,
out
not everyone
to the last.
gets to talk though during that reunion, right? I mean, not everyone really gets to
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, but at least we're gonna.
We're
At least
gonna
we
see
get
them.
to see. We get to see Helen.
Who's Helen?
Well, if they had a reunion,
Second boot.
Oh,
if
right,
they
right,
had a
right, right.
reunion episode, the
Okay.
second boot from
Oh.
Tika. Well, second vote out, but not
Ah.
second.
Oh, yeah,
eliminated.
Yeah, because of the medevac, right?
Yeah.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Actually, it would have been nice to see him, like, in the reunion after.
And they're like, who are you again? We
Oh, yeah, the first
knew
one who
you.
got medevac. And this is the second guy. Yay, you. I think
Yeah.
it would have had a better screen time reaction if Jamie and was it Chris, the guy who got voted medevac in her tribe? The one that gave her the
Matthew.
fake idol?
Matthew.
Matthew. If Matthew was there, as it like, you gave me a fake idol, that would have been gold.
Yeah.
That would have been better than if we saw Carolyn and Tarson talk about the NASA thing. Imagine that.
Yeah, and also like to see Sarah
talk
react
about-
to the X,
Yeah.
the red X
Oh god.
of Carolyn. So
Good man.
they're not discounting it. So
Mhm.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, as the world continues to slowly open up after
Amen.
this after the pandemic,
Oh my God.
hopefully soon enough we're gonna see an actual reunion show for Survivor.
Question, guys. Does it mean we'll have the return of the elaborate Jeff trip from the Final Tribal to the CBS studios in New York?
I think
Kind of
for the
montage.
foreseeable future, he's been saying that he wants to keep it live, right?
Okay, fine.
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But like
But
what we talked about, it would have been nice if they did it at Ponderosa
yeah, at least
at the
give him
very
like
least.
a day.
Yeah,
A day or two.
Give him a day to sleep or to rest.
yeah,
And at least we get to see Ponderosa.
yeah.
Again, yes. Unless it's just a sanctuary.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why they don't want to show it. Like,
where good things happen. Yeah, because
Where
they
good
keep
things
saying
happen.
it's where good things happen.
good
So
things
the
happen.
winner gets announced at the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Where good things happen. We have to say it now. Like
Yeah, where
every
good
time we
things
say the
Good things
sanctuary, where
happen.
good things happen.
happen. I'm gonna come up now with a food stall called the Sanctuary, where good things happen.
What good eats happen.
Yeah, this would be like a. Dude, you're not the only person that's predicting that Survivor is going to put up like a restaurant.
Yeah,
There are like a couple of other podcasters that are
Ooh.
predicting that.
yeah. The no buffs dudes are
Yeah,
thinking that it's gonna come up.
that seems to be like the trendy thing to do now. Because like after Matt Stone and Trey Parker bought Casa Bonita in like
Casa bonita, casa
yeah,
bonita.
Mm.
the South Park creators bought a restaurant that they made fun of on their show.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, you
Oh,
make fun of
God.
it. Yeah, you make it relevant, quote unquote, and you
Then
profit
you
off of
buy
it,
it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, we are becoming Titos and we're veering away from the topic at hand. Any final thoughts, guys, about season 44? And
Bruce. Bruce, make it to merge.
uh,
Needs to redeem himself.
I I I now concede defeat for this season.
we concede defeat to Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, because Martin just straight up got it. Joel, you got it in 3. From Kane to Heidi to Jam Jam, and I got it in 4. From Helen to Carson to Heidi to Jam Jam.
Yeah, so there you go.
Well.
I think that's
Okay,
it for this episode. Catch us next time when we will talk about how season 44 ranks among the new era Survivor seasons. And we're also going to talk about our initial thoughts about season 45, the season 45 cast, and the trappings, the themes, and whatever of season 45. And of course, I'm still working on the one shot that I'm preparing for our 2 council members, the D&D one shot I'm preparing for them. We're gonna show that for the D&D actual D&D fans out there. I'm going to go by rule of cool. So any rules lawyers out there, do not expect that we're gonna use the rules as written.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Whatever
Yeah,
whatever
thanks, man.
sounds more cool or looks more cool, that's what's gonna happen. All right.
Looking
So
forward to that,
that is it
man.
for this episode of the Council of Titos. Again, if you like this episode, please click the like button so we don't get voted off the channel, and consider subscribing so that you get notified whenever we have new content. We've got other shows here as well, although for the meantime, it has been a Council of Titos content has been the one that has primarily been on the show. And for those of you who don't want to have to look at our mugs whenever we talk Survivor, you can catch us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Council of Titos. Anyway, this has been Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon.
I'm Joe.
And this is Martin.
We hope you can join us on the council again soon. Until then, stay safe, everyone. The Titos have spoken.